Hey guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my Q&A. I asked you guys on my 200 subscribers / November TBR video if you guys wanted a Q&A and what questions you wanted to ask me. So now I'm going to go ahead and answer them. I think I have a fair amount of questions. Yeah, a fair amount. So I'm just going to answer them from top down, from most recent to less recent. So yeah, I had a plan that I wanted to do this, like how I wanted to film this. I wanted to be decorating my shelf for, for December. I wanted to be doing laundry or something and just answering questions, make it super casual. And then my anxiety kicked in. So we're just gonna do this really simple. Nothing too over the top. We're just gonna relax and kick back and I'm just gonna answer questions. It's not gonna be super quick, I don't think, because I babble like crazy. So let's get into them. But the first question, or first set of questions, is what is the trope that I hate most in books? And that's a really hard one, primarily because my biggest thing is that why I hate a trope is because it's written poorly. I try to give every trope several chances, like the insta-love trope that everyone seems to hate. I try to give that a fair chance because sometimes some people can do insta-love really well and make it work. Some people cannot, and unfortunately the situations that we have seen, people cannot write insta-love very well because it's not something they've experienced or can put into words without overdoing it and making it weird. So it's not a matter of me hating tropes. I think if I had to pick a trope, I go with the bad boy trope. I think it is a very difficult trope to write nowadays, not because of any political sphere per se, but because we have been so ingrained in us to love a bad boy and to try to fix him and make him better that we accept kind of shitty written men in fiction and in TV shows. But there are definitely some bad boys that do get this pass. I think Recent from Akotar did really well because I like the bad boys who have who are shitty people in a sense, but shitty with a reason. They don't like how the government's being run, so they rebel. They don't like how the school is treating people, so they rebel. They are come from a terrible background, so they're a little bit more closed off, but there's kind people who are kind to them and who deserve their kindness. But I'm not a fan of bad boys for the sake of being bad boys, because then it turns into this weird idolization of bad boys, and then it becomes a really weird we find ways to keep making up for shitty people and their behaviors, which isn't something I'm a fan of. So I guess that trope is one that I am not 100% on board with. But if you can write it well, I'm definitely all here for it. But if you are one of those people who are going to tell me that Hardin Scott is the creme de la creme of your life because he's a bad boy, I'm going to need you to walk out the door, because that ain't it, sis. Or bro. Or non-binary bean. Whichever ending you prefer to that statement. It ain't it. The next question they had is, what is your favorite Disney princess? And that's tough. I have a handful, primarily because I gravitated towards Disney princesses that I wanted to be when I grew up, as well as Disney princesses who generally looked like me, because we still don't have a Filipina Disney princess. But if I had to choose, I would choose between two Disney princesses. One is Mulan, because I love Mulan. I think growing up she was the closest thing that looked like anything remotely like me, and I loved her passion and her spirit. And in high school, I had a lot of people, and my family still say that I look very similar to Mulan. I think I've just idolized her so much that I have picked up her her facial expressions, her reactions. And the other one is probably Princess Jasmine. Again, she's the princess who looked closest to me when I was younger, and I gravitated toward that. I also love for the fact that she was very much against the concept of letting a man define her life and define her worth. So, and kind of have them dictate her future, which was a lot more prevalent in the remake. So I definitely enjoyed that aspect, and those are the two Disney princesses that I have gravitated toward and would like to emulate growing up. I am 23, so I think I missed the mark. Alrighty, the next question is, what made me want to start a booktube channel? And it's a lot of mixed things, honestly. I started watching, my first introduction to a booktube channel was Haley in Bookland. Her personality vibed with me really well, and I loved her recommendations. I just loved hearing her talk about books. So I really appreciate my introduction to BookTube through her. So I thank her a lot for that, and I will continue to support her because of it. I am not the kind of person who likes talking in front of the camera very much. My earlier videos, I was very shy. I didn't talk very loudly. You probably couldn't tell my personality very well, but we're here now, I think like 2 years later, and I've definitely shifted from that point of view. But I think what boiled down to it was I was in a really dark place when I started my BookTube channel. My mental health had taken a really bad decline. My relationship at the time was not the healthiest for me, and I just needed an outlet. I felt like everywhere else I had outlets for, someone who didn't help me progress as a human being had their hands in, and it wasn't healthy for me, so I needed an outlet. And I had begun by writing book reviews on my Tumblr, and then I tried making a page for it, but it just didn't work out very well for me. It was still very much I felt very underappreciated still. None of my friends were big readers at the time, and if they were, they weren't the kind of readers who read the same books as I did or liked to hear or would be active in my thoughts about it. So I made BookTube because I saw Haley in Bookland, and while she had quite a fair bit of followers by the time I was following her or had started subscribing to her, I just found myself in a place where I was like, even though no one will probably listen to what I have to say about books, someone will, and it's a comfortable place for me where I could just express myself and not have other people who are being very detrimental to my mental health have a vote or a say in what I do. I could say what I wanted, I could read what I wanted, I could figure out figure out myself again through this version, through a camera essentially. So I started a BookTube channel very hesitantly. I think a lot of my reviews weren't the best. A lot of how I spoke at the time wasn't the most amazing. I remember when I started doing them more often, I had to bump up my volume when I was editing because it wasn't loud. It didn't help that I was filming on my iPhone 6 at the time, and it was probably, well, it was about the same distance as myself and my camera is right now. I just wasn't in the headspace for it, but soon it grew, and I just think I may, for the TLDR version of this story, I made it because I needed an outlet to kind of save myself, I guess, and put me back in a place where I liked reading again. Because I was in a very big, I only read for school situation, which wasn't myself, on top of all the mental health issues, so that was kind of the main reason I think I made the BookTube channel. Aside from just wanting to talk about books, like I said, my friends at the time were not readers. They were writers, but they were not readers very well. They read my stuff, that I wrote and sent to them, but they didn't read other books, so I didn't have a place to really talk about books and have people respond. Even if it was a like or a view or something, I didn't have those people respond back to me, so it's a mix of things, but those were the main reasons, I guess. I have another set of questions, so this is gonna make me very, very happy. The first question that my friend Brophy asked was, who would you fan cast in your work in progress? Now, if you guys don't know, I am writing a novel. I started the world out, my friend and I, her characters she created are actually in this world with mine. She has a stake in the book as much as I do. And I will always give credit to her because she has kept me very sane. Hi Ethel, I love you. She has helped me bounce off ideas, and it's just a very healthy place for me to be with when I talk to her about this book. And we have a series Bible and everything that we share and talk about, and it's so much fun. But I won't be sharing her characters because I don't know if she wants me to share them. But my book pertains to my characters, with her characters as a side character, which is okay with, I believe. So I will be sharing in the first book, there are 6 main POVs. I know this sounds like a lot, but by the end where we hit the 4th book, which I haven't yet to fully plan out, I believe we have at least reached 9 POVs. No, 10. Oh fuck, that's a lot. Yeah, by the time we reach there, we add most of the point of views, the last 4 remaining in the second book, but by the end we have 10 point of views altogether. So I don't know who to really show you, but I will start off with the first three main POVs that we meet in the first 5 or so chapters of the book. And here's my main girl. I'm not going to tell you their names because it might change. I hope it doesn't change when I get it published, but it might, because life likes to throw curveballs at me like that. But I did a lot of digging with her because her mother, so the first 2 are siblings. The brother is the eldest and she's the middle child. Their younger sister isn't going to be a POV until the second book for reasons that if you read the book, you'll find out. But it took me a long time to find her specific fan cast that I wanted, because I wanted her to definitely be a little bit more, she's supposed to be tanner than this, but the actress that I have is a little paler. I wanted her to look a little bit more like me, because I don't see me a lot in fantasy novels. I don't think that this person looks like me, but in terms of the tan hair, the brown eyes, the brown hair, the dark brown hair, I chose several different characters, and I struggled with her because her mother, she has 3 parents. Her parents are in a polyamorous relationship, polyfidelity as well. Her parents, so we have, I'm going off their titles. We have her mother, who is the beautiful, who is the queen before her. Then we have her other mother, who wasn't necessarily biologically involved in her conception, but she was called the alluring, and then her biological father, which his name is the handsome, so she is a product of them. So she's supposed to be this very beautiful looking woman, and I couldn't find one, so it took me a long time, but I finally decided on Marina Moschin. She is a Brazilian actress. I still need to watch her TV show, and she is really well known for her acting work in Do Salve Ore, something like that. It's Brazilian for God Save the King, or God Save Our King. It looked really good. I like her in it, so I went with her. And then her older brother is supposed to really look like their father, in terms of their appearances, and I ended up choosing Blair Redford for him. I think Blair Redford does something to my little heart. And then our next point of view is their best friend, which she has a history with the main girl quite a bit, but it's nothing that really affects them as much as they think it does. And I chose Sakeem White for him. This character is a very big player in the world. He's the general of their armies. He is this very much he essentially was supposed to be a Cassian from ACOTAR, essentially. And somehow he turned into Thor, personality-wise, from Thor Ragnarok, which I'm not complaining about, but still surprising. But he is really well known for being the general, for being his other titles, which is the champions, the champion of their hometown, their home country, as well as Dragon's Fury. I can drop that one very well. And as well as one that he's very happy with is carved by the queens, which the queens are their in their queendom. The queens rule, and then they eventually become goddesses in the afterlife. So he was carefully carved by the queens, which I think is very fitting. These are the 3 fan casts that I will share with you guys right now. If you guys want me to share more of them, I'll be more than happy to share them in a writing diary. I'll even ask my friend Ethel if she's okay with me sharing their fan casts. It's a fairly hefty cast, but I think it's gonna be. I'm really proud of this book, you guys. So hopefully it gets published and it all works out. Brophy's next question is, what books have made you the most emotional lately? The Star of the Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I'm sure she didn't anticipate me figuring that out, or saying that, because I posted this video before I read the vlog, but The Star of the Sea by Erin Morgenstern. If you made videos exclusively about something besides books or writing, what would it be? Probably fashion or lifestyle. I like traveling. Traveling is one of my passions. I make a plan to travel somewhere at least once a year. Even if it's just within the US or within California, I like to travel. My family and I went to San Francisco for a vacation this past summer. I'm going to England in June, and then Portland for Harry Styles in August. So I'm really anticipating those guys, but yeah, I try to plan things so I'm always traveling. So I'd either do a traveling kind of like situation where I like travel a lot and like do that, or I do fashion. I love fashion. I know it doesn't look like it, but I love fashion and what it can do to like a person's confidence and like how like it expresses their personalities and everything. So I think I would lean toward that. Not beauty guru, because I am not. This doesn't work very well, but fashion I would definitely do. So next questions, and then the next set of questions are from String Bean Books. One of Sarah's first questions is, what's my favorite color? And I'm very torn on this concept. When you asked the question, I think I went through a mini panic mode because I can't choose. So my primary, anything jewel tone. I love jewel tone, anything like emeralds and like amethyst colors and navy, like those like really like sapphire blues. But in terms of like actual favorite color, I'd have to say green, red, blue, and black. Yes. Her next question is, what is one experience in your life you wish you could relive? Traveling by myself for the first time. I went to Ireland when I was a sophomore in university. I studied there for a month over the summer, and I just want to relive the feeling of like getting settled in this place and like laying on my bed and like feeling like the world was at my fingertips, because it was a really stressful time trying to save up for that trip, and then I get there and it's just like this weight is off my shoulders. I met my uncle who lived in the same city that I was living in for then. I met some wonderful, amazing people who are still in my life, and I would just love to get to have the chance to meet them again, and like just have the knowledge that I'm gonna like have them in my life for this long, and like that I'm gonna have these memories. And like it's good. From that experience, it not only brought me to a really wonderful job that I was assisting in before I graduated, that I brought more wonderful friends into my life. So it's just like that, like it's just a place that I just want to revisit. Traveling for the first time, like the exhilarating feeling, like the calming feeling. Ireland was one of the first places that like one of the first places in my adult life where I have felt at home and myself. So it's just, I would love to relive that memory. And then, oh, that's mean. What is one book you would want to have on a deserted island? Frick, why? You know I can't make choices. If I had to choose a book, probably The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I just don't get tired of that book, you guys. I'm sorry. Like I could probably tell you what happens in that book verbatim. Not yet verbatim, but we're getting there. I could probably tell you what happens in that book, but I just don't get tired of it. Like I reread it, or like I think about rereading it, and like I like get excited because of all the things I might have missed on like my first two rereads, or like the things I can like say and that make me happy and make me sad. So I would just like take it on a deserted island and then never get bored, and I never lose my mind until the book gets wet or it starts to fall apart, and then I lose my mind. But we have a while for that, and I would like treat that book like it was my child. And then my goal. Do you have any goals, bookish or not, for 2020? Let's start with not bookish. So not bookish, I want to decide whether or not where I want to live. That was a plan for me in 2019, but it didn't work out very well because I panicked. But I want to decide where I want to live. I want to know if I can feel myself wanting to settle in America or in a different country like Europe or England. Probably England, or like Ireland or something, because like I said, Ireland felt like home for me for the first time in a long time. I want to finish my third draft. I have plotted that out, and I'm a week behind because anxiety gets the best of you. So I plan on finishing draft 3. I plan on entering in pitch wars in 2020. What else do I want to do? I want to move out, but I don't know if that'll happen in 2020 or 2021. So I think that it probably will happen in 2021 by the looks of it. But if it happens in 2020, I won't be mad. What else? I want to add another bookshelf. That's not much of a big goal, but you know. As for bookish, I want to read more poetry. Poetry is a thing I want to slowly poetry is a thing that I want to get more into. I have been very hesitant about reading poetry because I never know what I'm going to like and what I'm not going to like. So it's always like a dip my toe in and then back the fuck out, then dip my toe in, then back the fuck out. I also want to start moving toward adult fantasy a bit more. Not because I have anything against YA fantasy. YA fantasy has some of my favorite books of all time. But I want to start writing in a way that's, like, my writing in a way that's more adult fantasy based. Or like a little bit more new adult. I heard that Victoria Schwab tends to write, like, her adult fiction tends to read like YA, so maybe like somewhere like that, or like new adult. We can't have both because publishing company, so definitely leaning towards a bit more of adult in terms of that. I'm the kind of person that when I read a lot of books of a single author that I really like, I try to emulate the writing style and like integrate it, and that's how I become a better writer. So I always say, like, I want to start integrating more adult fantasy into my life so I can integrate that more into my writing and like publish as an adult fiction, as an adult fantasy author. Those are my goals at present for life. And then Meg, from Meg with Book, her question is there a video you want to do but are too scared to or intimidated by it? If I'm being very honest with you, a lot of original content terrifies me. Not because I think they're difficult to do, but because I had started making original content in a sense. I had my Weird Wednesday set up in a situation where I like once a month did a video on something that wasn't bookish, and it never did well. I never got the views that I thought I wanted, and I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. So it was like a lot of work with very little payout for me, so I had started to sway away, like to turn away from them and just do more basic stuff just to get like more subscribers and more views, and then maybe in the future I'll go back to adding more original content into my work. But then like I started doing that, and then like, it just got comfortable. So I definitely do want to do more original content. That concept intimidates me because, like I said, I put a lot of work and like heart into it, and then not a lot of people like it. Like I think I've had a couple people dislike some of my like Weird Wednesdays. I could be wrong, but it was coming from a place where I was very excited, and then very little people paid attention to it or like did not like it. I even lost a couple subscribers because of it. The concept of original work is very intimidating to me. But I should have added this in Sarah's last question, but I do plan on adding more original content in my videos as of December, starting with a certain video that will come out after a certain album comes out on the 13th. So starting from December and then moving forward, I'll be having original content, but I'm very, very intimidated by it. Unnaturally so. The next question is from Christy Reads. It's like 2 questions in one. Do you have a reading goal for next year? If so, is it more or less than any goal you set up for this year? This year I had a plan of reading 60 books. I am very, very, very over. I think I'm at like, at present, I am at like 93 books out of 60. I think next year I'll probably set it at like probably the same or like 70 or something. I think this year I was in a very good reading place at the beginning of the year and just like flew through books, so I don't want to think that I'm going to be in that same place again. But 60 is a very safe number for me, I think. So I think I might do 65 or 70 next year. So here's to hoping. The next question is from Connor. So his question is, what is the hardest part of booktube for you? And that is staying creative. I do struggle a lot with like mental health, and I've been hitting a good spot in it recently where I can like keep putting out videos and be having fun with it and like just be myself and get comfortable, and I'm getting more confident and like putting out more original content in the future. But being creative, because when my mental health declines, my creativity declines as well. I also do plenty of other creative aspects outside of YouTube too. I write, which like if I'm not at work, I am writing. My job requires me to be creative. I am the marketing assistant. I handle like social media posts and I'm starting to do more newsletters and translations. So it's been a lot of like just trying to remain creative. I also have a Bookstagram account, which requires a lot of creativity on my part as well. So it's just remaining creative when like I don't have that. And I think that's the hardest part of Instagram or like YouTube for me, because I can work past my mental illness. I do really well. Like my mental illness doesn't I can work around my mental illness if I'm constantly busy, but in terms of being creative, if my mental illness takes a dip, I can't be creative in anything else, which always like makes it worse. So I think being creative is my hardest thing. Last set of questions. Okay. And this one's from Opalas. What is my novel about? That is her first question, or their first question. My novel is my novel follows a very reluctant queen who is kind of thrust in the position after several situations that have occurred in her life, and it just involves her trying to figure out life, and there are dragons involved, and there's betrayal, and that's really the most I can say about it. I think I've even said a little too much, but like, we'll just keep this between us. What's my favorite genre to read? And that is fantasy. I love, love, love a good fantasy. And I love that fantasy is starting to be a little bit more diverse. We're starting to see more POCs. We're starting to see more queer characters. And I am here for it. Like, I need to see my face more in fantasy novels. I'm sorry. Not sorry at all, but I need it. And her last question is a very easy question, and that is dogs or cats. And my answer to that is both. I have 2 cats. One is my sister's and one is mine, and we also have a family dog. And I love all 3 of them fairly equally, so I have dogs. I can't choose. I'm okay with having a dog or a cat. But that is it for my Q&A. I feel like this is a very long Q&A. My throat is like aching. If you guys have any other questions for me, please leave them down below. I will answer them, and then until next time, hit like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys in the comments or in my next video. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I hope for those of you guys who do celebrate Thanksgiving, you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving with friends and family, or friends or family. So, bye!